how way, ay, 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 ay. How we up, ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. How way, ay, 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 ay. How way, ay, 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 ay.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Bridge. I'm your host, Kira Young, and you've reached me on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Tonight we're also streaming with Real Liberty Media. We've fixed that little problem there that kept us from streaming with them. So we're simulcasting with them tonight. And it is July 16th, 2016. And we're having another great conversation with a friend of ours from KBHR, DJ Wolf. Welcome to The Bridge.
Thank you very much.
Right on. Great sound. I'm wondering if maybe you turn off the video portion of your feed, if we might get a better sound in here. It's just on my end. I don't have that much bandwidth.
Let's see. I just did that.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So last week, our listeners found out a little bit about the concept of your station and how it started from Jeff in the Morning, but you're really the guy behind it, and you started it all. So you want to tell us how that happened?
Yes, I'm the man behind the curtain, so to speak. It's kind of a funny story of how it all got started. It was kind of an accident, a happy accident. I used to, for the last 10 years, I used to run another radio station called Rocktown Radio, which was an all-internet classic rock and roll. It actually was all things rock and roll. It was classic rock, new rock, heavy metal, what have you. And running an internet radio station is like being a needle in a haystack, because there's so many other internet radio stations out there. So to be unique is kind of a tough thing, you know. So just to be your standard classic rock station out in the internet, it's hard for people to find you because, you know, there's so many. So unless somebody has a reason to come find you, you know, it's kind of hard to, you know, spread the word, so to speak. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. Her name is, Chris. We all know her as NXP cause she has a Facebook page called Northern Exposure Philosophy. And, we were having a conversation one day just on Facebook. We were talking, a kind of a what if. And it all started because, as being a Northern Exposure fan on our station, Rocktown Radio, we didn't have a lot of DJs. We only had 3 or 4, so I was always looking for stuff to fill time. And on Sundays, I started a group called Club NX, where us Northern Exposure fans would just come into a chat room on Sundays and watch episodes together. We'd watch 3 or 4 episodes every Sunday. And we did that for like a year or two, and me and NXP were talking about, you know, what it would be like if, you know, there actually was a KBHR station, what it would be like today, you know, would it be multiple DJs, how would it sound? And I was like, you know what, I've got all the tools, I know how to do it, let's give it a try and see what happens. So we did it, we registered the name KBHR.net, and, I started a server and a playlist and just started playing music and doing, I was the only DJ, just me, and I did like 2 shows a week, and it caught on. It caught on really quick, and people love the idea, and, you know, cause it's just like, you know, being in Sicily and tuning into KBHR.
Which is great, and that's how I got introduced to it as well. Like I was telling Jeff last week, my husband turned me onto it, and I thought it was a great concept, and the whole concept of the listeners being Sicilians and how, you know, really hardcore Northern Exposure fans understand it's a state of mind, it's a philosophy, it's a mode of being, I suppose. And that mode of being really centers around community and building community and really having fun.
Well, that's what makes this kind of concept really work, is that people, you know, who like Northern Exposure go online and they search for Northern Exposure. And then when searching for Northern Exposure, you're probably going to come across either my Club NX page or the KBHR page. And people go, oh my gosh, there's a real KBHR. I'd like to hear that. I wonder what it sounds like. You know, and some people expect to tune in and just hear, you know, just songs from the show or Chris in the morning. Obviously, you know, we don't have Chris in the morning. We got Jeff in the morning, which I think is just as good. Mm-hmm. Very entertaining. But, it's more about, like you said, a community. We got all kinds of people that come in and they share their songs and they make requests, and people learn about other songs, and it's not top 40 radio, although sometimes we may play songs from, that type of era, but then you'll also hear a song from the 30s. You'll hear some old classic swing, and then you'll hear some Euro beats or something. I mean, it's very eclectic and it involves.
Very eclectic. That's what I've noticed about it. And sometimes we all get into our own musical ruts where we just, especially me, I'm pretty obsessive with my music. And so, I could just listen to Nick Cave and JJ Grey all day. In fact, I would if I didn't listen to K-Bear. I would just listen to my old favorites. And so it's good because the longer you listen, the more stuff you hear that you haven't heard in a really long time or that you might not even have ever heard before.
Well, I'm a musician, so part of that is, I love all types of music. I could tell you more types of music I don't like than I do. I don't like rap and I don't like opera. And that's about it. Anything else you want to throw at me, I'll give it a listen.
Wow. That's a lot.
From. I'm not a big fan of show tunes either. Sorry, Maurice.
But in terms of like who's who at the radio station, you kind of are the Maurice of K-Bear.
Yeah, well, I don't like to think of myself as like a boss or an owner because it's not something that can be owned. It's all commercial free. It's listener supported. We don't make a penny. We have a twice a year telethon where, we just raise money and we have an all day broadcast. So all our DJs all line up all in one day and we do like a big 12-hour broadcast. And that's how we raise the money that we pay for the stream now. Other than that, it's totally commercial free and, nobody's an owner. I like to consider myself the program director, sort of, because I can control the server and what people hear when there is not a DJ on. Because you don't have enough DJs to fill the entire time slot. So I have what I call Auto the DJ, which is basically, an automatic server and playlist that just plays, a playlist that I built, I think specifically of songs that they're not necessarily all music from the television show Northern Exposure, but they all fit in those types of genres. They would be songs that you think you would hear if it was still going.
There's a little running joke about Otto being an actual person when you get into the chat.
Yeah. Well, I've always had this picture, and this was a long running joke on my old station, Rocktown. Otto the DJ, and OTTO is what we call him. He's a cranky old French guy. If I've ever heard him actually talk, that's what I think he might sound like. But, and it's kind of he's got his own Facebook page. You go to facebook.com/Otto the DJ. You can, he doesn't talk much, but he plays a lot of great music.
Good. That's good. Yeah, it's always on. We actually don't have TV, so we're really into radio. That's pretty much all we listen to is radio.
That's a very awesome thing. That's kind of how I got started. I was a radio fan before I was a Northern Exposure fan. In high school, I took broadcasting and I fully wanted to be a radio DJ. That's what I wanted to be since I was like 5 years old. I wanted to be a DJ. And after high school, the only way I could get a job at a radio station was to be an intern. Well, I had a wife and a child at the age of 20, so I couldn't do that. So I decided to try to get into internet radio. You could buy a computer, broadcast for free, kind of turn it into a hobby. And then learning how to do that, learning how to run in a radio station, how to make all that stuff work, I acquired a great amount of computer knowledge, which I then in turn to use that to get a computer job. Now my day job is I own a computer repair store. And I'm also a Microsoft certified network engineer. I work on servers and I have a couple of big law offices for clients and I take care of their networks and servers and stuff. So I got a lot of that back end knowledge from wanting to do radio and just learning.
Yeah, you've been doing internet radio for a long time now.
I started, my first ever station that I started was a little station I called Cornfield Radio. That was in 1999.
Wow.
Lasted for about a year, and then I got hooked up with another guy that lived in Kansas, and we had a station called Socrates, which stood for the Society of Classic Rock and the Electric Sound. That was a really cool station. It lasted for about 4 years and had, 7 or 8 DJs on it. The guy that owned that station decided he wasn't going to do it anymore, so that's when I formed Rocktown. And I did that for about 10 to 11 years. That was from, about 2005 to about 2015 or so, and then I closed down Rocktown to start K-Bear.
K-Bear is a lot of fun. Tell us about some of the shows that you have on there. There was a big party in there last night.
Yeah.
Friday night.
Friday nights, we'll start on Fridays. Friday night is the start of the weekend. So we have a chat room like they do here on Revolution Radio. And, our difference in our chat room is we have, webcams. Not only can you come in and see the DJ as he's doing his thing, but the listeners can actually pop up on cam too. So the DJ can see the listeners can see the DJ and the other listeners. And it tends to turn into a party, especially the later it gets in the evening, a few adult libations and the party begins. Saturdays, we have a brand new morning show, Smokey Bernstein, who we just listened to this morning. He is our newest K-Bear DJ, and he plays an eclectic set of tunes and, kind of comes up with a theme and stuff like that. Sunday is our big day on Club NX, on Northern Exposure, or on K-Bear. It's called Club NX. We have a morning show, which is basically all K-Bear music, all from the Northern Exposure television show, every song. Then we have a episode marathon where we play 12 episodes back to back. This week's theme is all episodes about community. So we go through the entire 110 episode series and pick out specific episodes that may have that theme. Then Sunday nights is my Club NX radio show, which is kind of like a throwback show with it's basically all the kind of music you would hear on K-Bear if it was still around today. Of course, you guys already know about Jeff in the Morning. He's our flagship morning show, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. He's on every morning, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern. And I think his show is probably most like Chris in the Morning. If you were a fan of Northern Exposure, and as we all were fans of Chris in the Morning, he probably best embodies that sort of same thing with, reading poetry and talking about events and things. And plus, it's just a great way to wake up. Every morning I'm up with a cup of coffee and getting my day started with Jeff. It's a great time.
It is. It is a really good way to start the day.
Monday nights, 9 p.m., we have Roots with Ree. Ree is our only female DJ on the staff. And as the show title says, Roots, she plays eclectic set of world music. It's hard to explain because it's so much different stuff. You kind of have to listen. But Monday nights, Ree. Tuesday nights, I'm doing this all by memory too. I don't have this in front of me. Tuesday nights, 7 p.m., we have Whip Fox. Whip is our youngin', our rock and roll guy. He is from Minnesota, and he plays a lot of newer music, rock and roll. He even spins some records from time to time, playing a little vinyl. Really taking it back. It's fun. And then Wednesday nights, we have one of my shows called Wolf TV, which is actually a music video show, which is very strange for radio. I know people are like, what? Music videos on the radio? How does that work? Well, you come in the chat room, you can see it. It's pretty cool. Basically, I do it with a green screen behind me, and the video plays as I'm sitting there, and it's just fun. And then Oscar Project. Oscar is my only carryover DJ from the Rocktown days. Oscar's a fantastic DJ, and when I was closing Rocktown, he had nowhere to go, so I'm like, dude, I got K-Bear, you do a great show, I think my K-Bear listeners might enjoy it, why don't you come on over and DJ with us? So he did. He's our only transplant. And Thursday night is, we don't have a DJ on that night, but we have what's called Sicily Theater, where we play 2 episodes of Northern Exposure and then a movie. And everybody just kind of comes into the chat room, hangs out, and watches a movie together. It's great community fun.
A lot of fun. I was thinking about last night. People are drinking and having fun, and they're not going to be driving home after they're having their drinks because they're already home.
Yeah. Oh, that's the greatest part. You can, it's like an online bar that you can go to. You can stop in anytime, say hi to your friends. The people know you. You come in, they say your name. It's like Norm.
Yep.
And you can hang out for 10 minutes or an hour, and then when you're done, you close your screen and you're in your house. You're safe.
Mm-hmm. Very great concept. I love it. I really do. I have this, I don't know why I do this, but I have this weird compulsion that when you come on, I say to my husband, I go, darling, Wolfie is on. Turn on Wolfie. I don't know why I do it, but I think it's because you make the W out of two V's in your...
He asked me that question, why is your name 2 V's and not W? It all came back down to a chat room. When back at Rocktown, we used to do our chat in a on a website called Stick'em, which was a webcam community and chat room, kind of like what our chat room is right now, where you can have user cams and stuff like that. And when I went to pick my name, Wolf was already taken. And I'm like, well, this ain't gonna work. So I got creative to make it look like Wolf in the chat room. I used 2 V's instead of the W, and I got the name Wolf.
There you go. It's that simple.
And then stuck. I liked it after that. I was like, that kind of looks cool. It looks like, maybe a pair of fangs or something. So it stuck.
A sweet pair of fangs or something. Yep. So, not only do we do this show here live tonight on Saturday, but Tuesday it gets replayed over at People's Internet Radio in Ireland. And last week, when we replayed Jeff's interview, a bunch of people from People's Internet Radio came and checked out the chat over at KBHR. And so Tuesday night, Whip Fox, that show turned into a little party itself as well. That was a lot of fun. So hopefully that'll happen again this Tuesday. That we got this little cross-pollination thing going on across the pond.
It was very interesting to see, because as the administrator of our website, I get certain statistics about, who tunes into our website and stuff. And on that particular day, it was funny to look at the map and see all the people in Ireland that were tuned in, because usually it's pretty spread out. We got a lot of people in the United States and then, our continent, but we get a lot of listeners from Australia and Ireland and England and Poland, and I mean it goes on and on. We get listeners in Chile, South America, lots of people for different reasons, because I think it's probably because Northern Exposure was syndicated to a lot of other places. It's huge in Germany. Northern Exposure's huge in Germany. Of course, they don't call it Northern Exposure, they call it Augerschnitt, Alaska.
That's right. Oh.
The funniest things about that is that, as I was saying earlier, I'm kind of new to Northern Exposure compared to most of the fans. Most of the people, they watched it when it was on in the 90s. When it came on in 1990, I was just a freshman in high school. So I didn't watch a lot of TV back then. I didn't become a fan till probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I stumbled onto it online. I was, downloading some things, TV shows, and I found it and I watched the first season. And I remembered my dad when it was on liking it so much, and I was like, wow, this is great, a show about a radio station, but it's not like a goofy radio station. Any other TV show or anywhere you see where they have a radio station portrayed, it's usually like WKRP, it's goofy, it's comedy, it's not, KBHR was like a real station. It's like what it would be in a little small remote area out in the middle of nowhere, to have one thing on the dial and that's all you can hear, and to have it be something good. I thought that was just an amazing concept, and it glued me in. I became a Northern Exposure fan instantly.
Yeah, anybody who sees it is like, wow, this is a really good show. And I was a freshman in college, so I watched it religiously, and of course I was thrilled to see native characters, because that was just unheard of.
Yeah, especially native characters portrayed in a good light instead of as comedic or, highly overrated,
Hollywoodized.
Right. It was actually how, it would be. And obviously in a community like that, no matter where it is, you're going to have your different groups of people. And I think that's what makes that show so great, is because that show could literally happen anywhere. It could be, in a little two gas station town in Utah, or it could be in Florida. That town could exist anywhere, and anybody could live in it. Obviously we all want to live in Sicily because it's such a cool place with the brick and stuff like that, but that's literally anywhere United States you can find somewhere like that.
And we do all live in Sicily because we listen to KBHR.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's what we were trying to do, is make it feel like it doesn't matter where you are, you could be part of this little community a little bit more. I was kind of worried at first that we might have blowback from the actual show, breaking copyrights or anything like that, using the name KBHR, but there actually is another KBHR radio station in California called KBHR 93.3 The Bear.
From Big Bear. I think it's Big Bear, California.
That's correct, yeah, Big Bear. But they don't do any kind of Northern Exposure thing or anything like that. They're just a regular commercial radio station. So And then I think the ultimate props I got was about a month or two ago. I had the privilege to interview Darren Burroughs, who is the actor that played Ed Chigliak. And he was really excited about K-Bear and the concept, which that made me feel really good. You know, to get some acceptance from somebody like that, to say, this is a really cool idea and I'm glad it's out there, that made me very happy.
That's great. And I did hear that interview. It was a great interview, and it was good to hear how his life has, progressed since the show. I'm sure as an actor, for him, his character was so unique and so well done that I'm sure it was hard for him to get other characters after that.
Well,
show.
I mean, and that was like his first real big thing. So right out of the gate to have that kind of success, it can definitely brand you as a, it can typecast you, I think is what they say in Hollywood.
Right.
I don't think he feels it. And the greatest part about all of this is we might get some new episodes out of this. The reason I interviewed Darren Burroughs is because he had a GoFundMe project to raise $100,000 to do the production on making a new episode. Now it's going to be 10 new episodes, hopefully to appear on like Netflix or something like that. But they've already got the screenplays written. The stories are written. They're hiring production crew and figuring out all the logistics of filming it. So it's very likely to happen. And I can't wait for that to have
That's
some
pretty exciting.
New Northern Exposure is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and this is something that because fans enjoy it so much, they're going to make it happen. That's pretty incredible.
Well, Northern Exposure ended on such a down note. Everybody that's a fan, there's two things that they say bad about Northern Exposure. One is that season 6 sucked, that it was horrible because Joel Fleischman left and they brought in a new doctor. And number 2, that if you ever buy it on DVD or anywhere, they use a lot of replacement music, which people can't stand either. You'll hear a lot of people complaining, I won't watch it on DVD. I won't watch it because there's a song missing. When they first made the show, when they got the rights for the music, they only got the rights for television. They never bought the rights for, putting it out on DVD or anything like that. So when they finally did get it on DVD, they couldn't go back and negotiate those deals for the music. It would have made the DVDs like $300 each. So they had to put in replacement music. Now, when the first time I saw them was on the DVD, so I had no idea that the music I was listening to was replacement music. I just thought it was the music. So it never bothered me. And then I would hear people go, man, I can't stand this. I'm like, why? They go, that's not the right song. I was like, I didn't know that. Well, about 2 years ago, I finally got a hold of a copy of the original broadcast that somebody had copied onto VHS tape and then made digital. And I watched the whole thing with all the original music, and I was like, wow, you'd be amazing how much better a certain scene is with a better song. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think it was possible until I saw it, and I'm like, holy crap, that's 10 times better. So, and now if you're a big Northern Exposure fan and you want the DVDs with the original music, you can order it from Germany. They have a DVD release that they put out in Germany. You can get it from Amazon, but you gotta go to Amazon Germany and order it from them, and you can get it shipped here. It's in German, but it's also in English. So and those are the episodes that we play on Sunday. When you tune in Sundays on K-Bear, you're gonna see the Auger in Alaska because it's DVD quality with all the original music, and it's something quite special.
I love it. Yeah, I was wondering because we kept seeing that coming up when we watch it, and the German Auger.
And I don't. That means if there's any German listeners out there that can translate for us, that would be fantastic.
Yes, that would be. It probably means northern.
North Alaska? I'm not sure.
I don't know. But I wonder if the...
loosely translated, it means stinky moose.
Stinky Moose, Alaska. I wonder if the German fascination with the show is connected with the German fascination with natives in general. I mean, they're pretty fascinated with native culture, and there's even powwows in Germany. I wonder if that's why.
It very well could be, but I also think it was probably just because it was simulcasted in Germany. in their language. So TV shows like Seinfeld is really popular in Iran and India. They watch Seinfeld, but they redub it in their language, and it's huge. It's like David Hasselhoff. He's way more popular in Germany than he is in the United States.
Right.
I don't know why, but they love him. So Northern Exposure has that same thing. It kind of transcends. It's something that it's so good that it doesn't matter what language it is or whatever, just everybody loves it. I mean, not everybody. There's people that could, obviously live without it, but you don't find too many people that see it and then are not hooked.
All right, so I have a question here from the chat. Okay, Suzanne asked if Wolfie was from Blazing Saddles. Okay, maybe so. The accent is from the actress in Blazing Saddles. Yes, maybe I'm emulating her. What was her name? She was wonderful. Madeline Kahn.
Yeah.
Where she's, I'm tired. So tired. Yes, that's her. So,
I always remember her in History of the World Part 2 with Mel Brooks.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I could watch that over and over. In fact, maybe we could have a Blazing Saddles day or a Madeline Kahn day.
On K-Bear, we tend to try to make everything as family friendly as possible. So on our Thursday night Sicily movies, I don't think Blazing Saddles would be one of the movies I might play.
It might not go down too well. Yeah, the idea for how you set your station up with the video cameras and everything. You've got some long-time internet radio people looking at that, like Vin, who runs People's Internet Radio, looked at that and he thought, wow, this is quite a setup that you have here. I haven't seen it anywhere else either.
You should have seen it about 4 years ago when I was on Rocktown. I lived in, this is before I moved to St. Louis. Before I moved to Peoria, I lived in St. Louis. I had a big giant studio in my basement, and I had a stage, and we would have live bands come in and perform live on the air. And I would even have we would have like our own house band. So we would come up, perform, and then I had somebody from the local St. Louis area come in and perform live on the camera. So I had not only had to learn how to get the internet broadcasting, I had to learn how to do live sound, studio, camera, lights, all of that stuff. And I just had to learn it on my own. And I learned it out of necessity, it just, like I said, it came from that website Stickum. Because Stickum was a site where you could go and you could broadcast using Flash Media Encoder. You could broadcast in high quality, 128K stereo sound so that it's almost CD quality broadcast. And you could see the person in real time, real fast video. It just became a way to do it. And then Stickum closed. It was only open for about 3 years because they didn't have a very good business model and they couldn't pay for their bandwidth. So it closed. And then it closed. A whole bunch of people were like, what are we going to do now? Well, I went into research mode, just started figuring out a way to do all that stuff myself, how to build the website, rent the server, get the flash set up. And then from there, it's, I was pretty much the only one doing it. I've taught several people how to do it and are out there running their own stations now, but you still don't see a lot of people doing it because people don't understand it. They're like, what? It's a radio station you can see? Isn't that like TV? Yeah, sort of, but sort of not. It's totally new.
Yeah, it's absolutely totally new. And it is a radio station, but yet it's a lot more than that. It is a community. I'm always wanting to get on to one of the cameras, and I have for a minute at work, but it's always like, oh, we would have to clean up and get dressed to turn something on.
As people come in, the first few times they get like that, but after you've been in K-Bear for about 6 months, they don't care. I got my hair messy, my cup of coffee, I don't care. Yeah. So, I was thinking that I would like to interview the other DJs as well, and that you could always have these shows available for your empty space, or if somebody is out or something like that, you would have these to help fill your time so that Otto could take some time off Yeah, no, that'd be great. We're always trying to find new stuff to fill the time because, it does take a lot of time to fill up a whole broadcast. K-Bear's looking for hosts too. We, as a non-profit station, we don't pay anything. You're a volunteer here, but, anybody out there that's always wanted to be a DJ on K-Bear, and that's how the DJs I got found me. They're like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. I've always wanted to be a DJ on K-Bear. Well, here's your chance.
And what do you use for your broadcasting software?
There's several different things. We use what's called Flash technology. So the basic piece of software would be the Adobe Flash Media Encoder. It's just a window that takes your sound, takes your video, and uploads it to a server. On a Mac, there's a program called OBS, which is I can't remember what that stands for, but OBS for the Mac. Also, I'm a Windows guy, so I use a program called XSplit, which is a multi-screen switching. It's basically like a little piece of TV studio on a computer. Like I said, I even got the green screen. I could do the weather report if I wanted to.
Wow. You're really set up. That's amazing. I got my start in Irish internet radio about a couple years ago, and basically, if it wasn't for Kevin Flanagan and Vince, I probably wouldn't be doing radio. They taught me how to do it, and then of course I learned how to, I taught myself how to do a lot of stuff too. But for me, the added thing is we live in the middle of nowhere, and so all we have is satellite, and it's just really, really bad. So I come into town and I hook up to an iPhone, and I broadcast using my hotspot on my iPhone in order to do this show. So that's why I can only do sound, and that's why my husband's in the chat room for me right now. So if you have questions for us or anything, you can say something in the chat room, and my husband will let me know. Majikia.
I have a similar setup. I have T-Mobile Windows Phone with a hotspot, and I have an entire mobile setup that I'm building just for our trip to Sicily. September 22nd, a bunch of us K-Bear fans and the DJs are all making a trek to Roslyn, Washington to visit the town that they filmed the show in, and we're going to be doing a couple of live broadcasts on the road from there. I've got 2 laptops, a mixer, 4 microphones, and the hotspot, and it all fits into a backpack. So I got like a mobile DJ set ready to go. I could go anywhere there's phone signal and do a video show.
That's awesome. And I have done video. People's Internet Radio does video casts, and I've done a few video casts with them just using the hotspot. So it's amazing what you can do with the hotspot.
Yeah, if you get in a nice good 4G area, you've got, it doesn't take as much to broadcast as you think, because when you're doing our kind of broadcast, you're sending your signal up. It's not download, it's upload. So you're sending your signal and your video up to a server, and then the server pushes all the rest of it out. So, as long as you get all you need is about 200 or 300 K up, and as long as that signal is solid, no problem. You can broadcast from anywhere.
It's amazing. Truly, truly amazing how this new way of communicating and expressing ourselves is changing. It's changing the way we build community, and it's just changing the way we experience our world.
Well, not only is it changing the way we get our music, but it's changing the way people make music, because, back 20 years ago, if you wanted somebody to hear your song, you had to get a record deal. That was pretty much the only way. Now you can have a computer in your bedroom, you can make your own song, make your own video, upload it to YouTube, and have 1 million people look at it without ever leaving your house.
Yeah. That song, the intro song for this show, I did that on Audacity. It's just my voice and a hand drum, and then I just layered my voice 4 times.
Yep.
With Audacity, and boom, I had an intro song.
Yeah, I do the same thing for our sounders and stuff. I use a little program from back in the day called Cool Edit Pro, And it's just a multi-track mixer that you can record something, overdub, put them in multiple tracks, move them around, and I have fun with that kind of stuff. That's what I like to do. I'm a Photoshop guy. I love playing with graphics and Photoshop and building websites, and that's what I do for fun.
Yeah, if I had, I would like to do more with Photoshop, but I don't have it yet. So as soon as I do, though, I'm going to be making some serious memes. Can you hear that it's raining really hard on my end?
Yes, sounds like it's coming down to cats and dogs.
It really is, and we've needed this for so long. So I do apologize if it's interfering at all with the sound quality of this show. It's
soothing. I might fall asleep.
Okay. And plus, I have a really, I'm very mellow, so, hopefully I won't put you to sleep here.
Well, I'm too, but it's not because of the rain. It's usually something a little different. So I got a cup here just to keep me awake, just in case.
The KBHR tribe all says hello, and something about the Twin Peaks and Northern Exposure connection. Did you want to speak to that at all?
Well, I don't know a lot about it because I'm not a Twin Peaks fan. That was not a show I ever got into. I do know that they were both famous for being filmed in the Pacific Northwest area. Twin Peaks was a little more of a kind of an oddball show. I didn't get it. I didn't quite understand it. But, a lot of people associate Northern Exposure with Twin Peaks. I think there's some production people that share kind of similar. And Northern Exposure did a little tribute to Twin Peaks in one of their episodes. I don't remember the episode offhand, but it's the one where Joel's girlfriend Elaine comes to town and Holland takes him out for a scenic view, and it's all foggy, and they break into snapping and talking about apple pies and stuff. If you're a Twin Peaks fan and you've never seen Northern Exposure, you've got to check it out. If you're a Northern Exposure fan and never seen Twin Peaks, I might suggest you check that out as well. Like I said, I tried, but I didn't get it. It went a little over my head.
It wasn't your cup of tea.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was all right, but it was definitely nowhere near as good as Northern Exposure. The kind of TV shows I like, obviously Northern Exposure. I'm a huge West Wing fan. Ever seen the television show West Wing? And I love MASH. I love MASH. I can watch that any time of day.
Yeah, MASH is a classic. I remember watching that as a kid a lot. And we couldn't wait for it to come on. Before cable, actually. We look forward to watching that. You remember when they started cable, they justified charging money because they said there wasn't any commercials. So that's how they talked us into paying for cable. And now you pay for commercials.
Well, I remember the only reason that I wanted cable when I was little.
Okay. You cut out just for a minute there. What was the only reason that you wanted cable?
Oh, MTV.
MTV, of course. Yeah, and that's really what your Wednesday night show focuses on. It's Wolf TV, like MTV, but it's a W, right, instead of an M. Do you put a W there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I took the M and I just flipped it upside down.
Clever.
My favorite thing about that show is that if you watch Wolf TV, it's like flipping on your TV and going on a time travel. It's like a lot of times I'll do a show from a specific year, like every video and commercial, and I'll play like movie trailers and clips, all come from a specific year. Like last week we did 1996. Everything came from that. So it's almost like turning on your TV and going back and watching 2 hours of TV in 1996 with the commercials and everything. It's fun.
Yeah, I like it because, see, I missed a lot of that because I was too busy being a punk rocker and going to punk rock shows. And so then I watch your Wolf TV and I catch the things that I missed, and then I realized that I really didn't miss as much as I thought I missed because there's a lot of stuff on there I remember.
Yeah, that's the same.
Well.
is with me is like, oh my God, I haven't thought of that in 20 years. And, like the Where's the Beef lady. The Dunkin' Donuts guy, the Samsonite gorilla, things that you just don't see anymore. How about commercials for long distance telephone plans? Like, before dialing long distance, dial 1 plus 888 plus 272 444, all those weird commercials. They bring memories.
It reminds you how fast things change.
Yeah. But yet, still kind of stay the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you just add the money to your Skype account instead. So you can call phones through Skype.
Actually, the only reason I ever use Skype is for radio interviews. I never talk to anybody else in Skype ever.
Yeah, that's the only reason I use it too.
I have a telephone. I have this little box that I can type their number and get them right away.
Yeah, that's the only reason I use it and it's a great tool for that. In fact, the Revolution Radio is set up so easy for the host. I just call into the studio and I'm on the air. It's just boom, that easy. Whereas,
so you're not actually broadcasting. You're just Skype is all you use
for Revolution Radio, but I am simulcasting with another station, Real Liberty Media, right now, and so I'm using Butt for that broadcast using this tool. So I've got that stream going as well.
Probably going to like Shoutcast stream or something.
Yeah.
Yep. We have a Shoutcast stream for KBHR. We simulcast on TuneIn. If you go to tunein.com, TuneIn Radio, everybody's got the TuneIn app on their phone. Go to TuneIn, search for KBHR. There it is. You can listen to it. No video, just audio only. But when you're on the road, that's fun because I do that on road trips. If I'm going to my dad's, I'll pop up my phone, turn on the TuneIn app, listen to KBHR while I'm driving down the road. I find that amazing.
That's great. And, it just brings you back to your home, away from home.
Yep.
Which is the station, is your home.
It's I consider it it's my bar, cause it's, everybody likes to go to the pub and hang out with friends. Well, I never go to bars ever. I come to KBHR.
Yeah.
And I'll grab 6-pack of beer, sit down and, chat with people, laugh, request some songs. It's always a good time. Anytime you get a room full of Sicilians just gathering and talking, I guarantee you're going to laugh every time.
Oh yeah, every time. And you don't even have to drink beer. Cause
no, you don't have.
I don't drink. Majiki doesn't drink, but we don't care. Other people drink, have fun, kick back, do whatever you do. I was listening last night on my phone while I was taking a bath.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So you played my my request while I was in the bath. So I was like, right on.
Yeah. Last night we had we like to do themes on the radio show, and a theme would be like last night my theme was money. All songs about money, dollars, what have you, and then I'll try to find every single song I can find about that particular topic, and then people will request other songs, as well. And that's what also makes it a community, because it's fun, it's challenging. You're like, oh, I remember this song, and I forgot all about that song. And
I was surprised at how many artists had a song called Easy Money.
Oh, there's at least 4 or 5. Just that Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen, forgetting them all the other ones off the top of my head, but and you'll also that's a good way to discover covers.
Yeah.
You'll find
more covers on KBHR than any other station.
Yeah, you'll be searching for a specific song, and then I'll find 5 other versions of that same song, and I'll be like, ooh, I want to hear that one. I love covers. That's my favorite thing, is when somebody takes an old classic song, something you've heard, and they redo it, but they do it differently, Maybe it was a rock song and they do it acoustic. Maybe it was a fast song and now it's slow or something like that. I love that kind of thing.
I believe it was KBHR that I heard a bluegrass cover of Pink Floyd's Home.
Yeah, you probably heard that on auto, because I have a bunch of bluegrass covers on auto.
I got a message that Smokey Bernstein was a punk rocker too. So I think that's a sign that he should probably be my next KBHR interview.
There you go.
Do.
Yeah, he's our newest DJ, so you can kind of get that perspective of what it's like coming into to the group.
And I really love the name. It's so clever of a name because it's such a an obscure reference to just something that Joel Fleischman, the character on Northern Exposure, talked about, where he used to go eat and back home.
That scene, he was teaching a Lamaze class.
That's right.
He was trying to tell people, he's like, okay, go to your happy place. Go to your happy place. And she's like, where's your happy place, Dr. Fleischman? He said, eating spare ribs at Smokey Bernstein's.
Yep.
You know, Smokey Bernstein's is a Jewish delicatessen in New York City.
Yep.
Like cigar.
Very, very clever name. Apologize for the sirens in the background there.
Stash!
I know. Quick! But it's actually...
That's funny because you're way out in the middle of nowhere and you got sirens, and I'm in the middle of Peoria, this big giant urban area, and I normally have sirens all the time and I haven't heard a sound.
Well, I've come all the way into town to a shopping center where I can get really good signal.
I got you.
Something's going on. Maybe it has to do with this rain. But yeah. So the Smokey Bernstein, I really loved that when I heard that first name, and everybody shows, I've listened to all of them. Everybody has their own style and their own thing that they're doing, but it all fits together perfectly. And that's
I try really hard to not make any of my shows sound like the other shows. Like my Wednesday night show's nothing like my Friday night show, and my Friday night show's nothing like my Sunday night show. That way you're getting something different. And I love the fact that all the other DJs kind of do the same thing. You're not getting the exact same thing all the time. It's always changing, always evolving. That really makes it interesting because then it doesn't get old.
So you're in Peoria, which was the set of Wayne's World.
No, that was Aurora, Illinois, near Chicago.
Oh, okay. No, it was somebody in there was from Peoria, though, in one of the scenes.
I don't remember. The most famous Peorian that I know of is oh gosh, I just blanked. Richard Pryor.
Pryor.
Yeah, black comedian Richard Pryor is from Peoria, Illinois.
Wow, that's so Midwest.
And then also, famous things from Peoria. Oh, jeez. I knew I was going to blank some of this stuff. There's a folk singer, Dan Fogelberg. He's from Peoria. There's the Fogelberg thing here. Caterpillar Tractors from Peoria. The band Mudvayne, I believe, is from Peoria.
Really?
Yeah, there's a few things here. Peoria's pretty big. The greater Peoria and surrounding areas, East Peoria, Pekin, is about 1 million people. It's the second largest area, actually the third largest area in Illinois. You got Chicago, you got East St. Louis, you got us.
And I have been getting the Central Time wrong on my stuff, so you guys are only 1 hour behind Eastern.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Me being in radio so long, I can do that stuff in my head instantly. But on KBHR, we like to do it east-west. You know,
yeah.
That way you can kind of, if you're on the East Coast, you know it's 1 hour before if you're Central. If you're on the West Coast, you know it's 1 hour after if you're Mountain. It's easier to figure out that way.
Right. And I'm so used to, because I got my start in Ireland, in the UK, always thinking about GMT and making sure that I have everything over there set up, because it's, you know, the afternoon there when it's the morning here, and then when we have daylight savings and all that.
Yes.
Ireland doesn't have it for like a month. So for a month, we're only 4 hours behind when we're usually 5 hours behind, and it's just a big pain in the butt.
England does the same thing. They have it. It's not at the same time. So our daylight change will happen and theirs won't, and it won't be for another month. So you're like, is it 6 hours? Is it 5 hours? Yeah, I know doing that math.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I get guests from all over the world. So I've had a guest from China, broadcasting person talking to them while they're in China, trying to figure that out. And then also Australia. figuring out the difference. It's a different day there, in New Zealand as well.
Yeah, I always say that the people are in the future. I'm like, oh my God, it's tomorrow there? Would you send the lottery numbers, please?
Please, I need money. I'm pouring every bit I make into this internet radio station.
Actually, I don't have to do that.
That's good.
To have great listeners keep us supported. And one of the things we do is that we also have T-shirts and stuff like that for sale. We have a store, and everything that we make off that gets donated to our official charity, which is Greenpeace, in the name of Mike Monroe.
Oh, okay. All right. I get that. That was one of the first shows to really take on that climate change as well, before people were really talking about it.
And it's cool because they brought it in not as a topic, but as a character. You know, basically,
yes.
He was the effect of climate change, you know. It was tearing him apart, and he had to live, they called him Bubble Boy. He had to live in this geodesic dome with special air filters, and he couldn't touch paper and this and that. And it really brought forth, you know, there's a lot of things that they talk about in Northern Exposure that nobody was talking about at that time in 1990. Like, Chris goes on a diatribe about, people in the future are going to be, nobody's going to be going to movies and things like that anymore. They're going to be sitting at their house and blissing out to the fiber optics. You know, that was true.
And the character had multiple chemical sensitivity, Mike Monroe. So that nobody was talking about that then. People are talking about it now. But you know, that's something that I take on. That's an issue I take on in my show. Is issues like a couple of weeks ago I had somebody on with multiple chemical sensitivity, and then I have celiac disease, which is also another sort of canary in a coal mine type of illness that you can get, and even though everybody thinks everything is gluten-free, it's really not, unless you live in California or something like that. But the world is not gluten-free. Believe me, it really isn't.
I've always been against the term organic because it makes me think that you know, there's something special about it. Organic should not be something special. Organic should be how it is naturally, and all other stuff should be called chemically enhanced. I think we should. Yeah, I mean, it's not an organic tomato; it's a tomato. Now, this tomato was not organically grown; it was grown with chemicals. So this shouldn't have a special label, and this not. Organic should not have a special label, and regular, you know, things grown with pesticides should be labeled. Oh, that's a pesticide tomato. That's just the tomato.
Yeah, it used to be everything was organic. It was just called food.
Yeah, this is exactly right.
And the other thing is the processing. Everything is so highly processed now.
Well, I've been kind of on a health kick lately because, about right when I first moved to Peoria, I had worked for a big corporate computer company. I was a field technician. I drove around all over Illinois fixing large scale copiers and printers and computer systems and things like that. So I spent a lot of time on the road, and I ate a lot of fast food. And my other favorite thing in the world was Jim Beam and Coca-Cola. And when I was doing a show, I would drink about 6 or 7 of those. Well, after doing that for a while, I became diabetic. I got diagnosed with diabetes right when I moved to Peoria in 2008, I think.
We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And then we'll be back for the second hour. Welcome back to the second hour of The Bridge with Kira. And tonight I'm talking to DJ Wolf. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
So before we took the break, you were talking about your recent diagnosis of diabetes and your health kick.
It wasn't recent. It was about 7 years ago, which is about how I've been here in Peoria. As I was saying, back in 2008, I got laid off from my job. The big 2008 economic crash and the housing boom busted. Lots of people lost their jobs, and I was one of them. So I ended up finding an opportunity to come and move to Peoria to work for a law firm, run their computer systems, and that's how I got to start my own business. When I first moved here, I weighed about 250 pounds. I'm about 6'1", and I was right about 250. Back in high school, I only weighed about 140. I was really skinny. So I put on quite a bit of weight. And I went to the doctor because I wasn't feeling good. Actually, I think I was okay. It was more of a checkup and a blood test. And the doctor sat me down. He's like, I got some bad news for you. You got diabetes. And I'm like, what? Yeah, you're a diabetic. I'm like, no, that can't be right. And he's like, yeah, you are. So they put me on 2 or 3 different kinds of medications and stuff like that. And it scared me pretty good. So I started trying to eat healthier, eating a lot less fast food. I quit out all soda pretty much all the time. I only drink unsweetened tea. I don't drink sweet tea or anything like that. I try to limit myself to about 10 to 20 grams of sugar per day. In that 7 years, I've lost almost 50 pounds. I'm down to 208 right now. And I've reversed the diabetes. I don't have diabetes anymore.
Good for you. That's excellent. I love stories like that. I too am 6'1", and I also had got up to about 250 as well. But I had to diagnose myself with the celiac disease because the doctors told me I had fibromyalgia.
With me, I mean, I'm constantly now always thinking about it. So
Yeah.
the law office I work for has a big giant office building. It's where my computer shop is located. And this year they just opened a brand new state-of-the-art gym down in the basement. Totally free for me to use. So me and my wife have been hitting that 3 times a week, doing the treadmill, and it's got flat screen TVs down there. And it's so great.
That's
because
wonderful.
Working out's hard, and driving to a gym, and it's hard to get yourself motivated to do that. You can just go for a walk. If you walk and keep yourself healthy, that's almost good enough. But it doesn't matter how much you exercise. Like you said, if you intake lots of amounts of sugar, your body's just going to store that as fat no matter what. That's how a body works.
Right. So now I'm down to 190.
That's probably my goal. I'd like to be about 195. I think that's my weight.
Yeah, I think I would like to get down to maybe 180 or so. But what's funny is that the clothes size are smaller than the last time I was this weight. So it's repositioned. I don't know, but
I definitely have a few pair of big boy pants now that I put them on, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't even have to unbutton them to take them on and off. That's kind of nice.
It's great. I don't even have to go into the plus size section, which is trippy because I was there my whole life. Years. And my problem was not, although I do like sugary things, but I was walking every day. I was watching what I eat. I just didn't know I had celiac disease, so my body was hanging on to every last bit of anything it could get because I was nutritionally starved yet overweight at the same time. And my body was falling apart, and I was in constant pain and had headaches all the time, and it was horrible. So now all that's gone. I still have the arthritis though, because once you do damage to your joints, the damage is done, and you can reverse it, but it takes time, and but it's good to have a community that supports you in that too. That says, right on, you lost more weight. Somebody to check in and say, I had this goal, and look, I've met it. And then when you make a new one, you have people to share your new goals with as well.
That's what's nice about our K-Bear community, because it doesn't matter what kind of problem you've had, or if you've had a bad day, or you got a fight with your boss or something like that. You come to K-Bear, people make you feel better. They care about you. That's what's really nice. You can come and say, I had this crappy day, and somebody's going to go, well, what happened? People aren't going to go, oh, well, sucks to be you. People actually care, that's a great thing.
Yeah, and I find a lot of people in chat rooms arguing about things, and it's I don't want to argue. I want to just hang out,
Back when I used to run Rocktown, I had a lot of problems with that because chat rooms can be very weird. Mm-hmm. Most people go to the chat room for one reason and one reason only, and that's to try to hook up online, so to speak. We actually on our K-Bear chat room just instituted a password because the chat room that we have, we don't own it. It's on another website, and that website is The other chat rooms on the website are places that I would never recommend people going. It wasn't too bad when we were small. We just had a few people. That other website couldn't really see our chat room. But now that we've got, like last night we had 20 people in there, people get curious and like, oh, what's going on in that room? And they come and see. And since anybody in the world can jump into our chat room and jump on the camera, we've seen some pretty crazy things from time to time. Obviously, that's not what we want in our chat room, so we can ban and kick people right away. But now with the password, it's really nice because the only people that can get into the chat room are people that come from our site. You have to go to kbear.net, click on the chat room link, and that's the only way you can get in. By the way, the password is easy. It's Sicily. I tell everybody the password because if you knew the password, you're supposed to be there. If you don't know the password, you're not supposed to be there, and you're not there.
Right.
Problem.
So if you're taking the time to listen to the show, you obviously are interested in KBHR. So the password is Sicily.
You'll come into our chat room with your pants on.
Well, and if they're off, you won't turn on your camera.
Exactly. You'd be surprised at the problems we've had. And it's usually few and far between, but it's always at the most unopportune time. Like, one time it was during the Jeff in the Morning show at like 9 a.m. in the morning. Waking up and drinking coffee and some guy pops on the cam and he's not wearing any clothes and everybody kind of just does a spit take. And I'm pretty quick. I can jump on the kick button and get him out, but you still see it for a second and you remember it all day.
Yeah, that image is burned into your mind and that's not how you wanted to start your day.
I think the password thing's going to help because it's easy and I put it right on the website. So when you come to the chat room, you're already on the website. The password's there. It says the chat room password is Sicily.
Okay, good.
So that, people that are supposed to be there are going to see it, be able to get in, but people that aren't.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I had seen some traffic about that and glad that you clarified that, for us.
If my ideal thing would have been to be able to have our chat room hidden from their website so that it's not in the directory and nobody even knows about it, but that's not possible. This chat room it's very weird. I don't know who owns it. It's not a company. It's a person that runs it. I don't know anything about it. The website is kagashi.com. KAGESHI.com. I'll type it in the Revolution Radio chat room. If anybody out there wants to check it out, please remember this is an 18 and over website. I don't like to go check this out because you're going to see some weird things. But, that's like the internet. If you want to see it, you're more than welcome to. Don't have your kids in the room, please.
I've seen that name before, on other radio stations as well, chat rooms.
This is the only chat room like it on the internet, period. That has a chat room with cams that interact with the chat and the cams all in one piece of software. I've spent months and months scouring the web looking for every type of chat room possible, from IRC rooms to Java rooms to this and that. And this is the only thing like it. So that's why we use it, because there's nothing else like it. The only other thing I could do would be to gather some money and hire a coder to build it myself. And I can have a flash server built and have it coded, but that would be very expensive. And this website is free. So
use it. Absolutely. Absolutely. What are you looking for in your new, in your openings and slots that you have at KBHR?
Basically, we're looking for people that are familiar with Northern Exposure and are radio DJs. That's really the only, or it didn't have to be a radio DJ, people that are Northern Exposure fans and want to be a radio DJ. Because we can, if you got music and a little bit of talking skill, it's not hard. All you need is a headset and a laptop. And I go a little further. I've got an entire little studio with a microphone and mixer and stuff like that, but literally you can do it with a laptop and a headset. It's not very hard. We use Spotify for the music. You can find for $10 a month on Spotify, you get a subscription, and basically you've got an entire catalog of like a radio station would have. Type it in, find what you want, play it, make playlists, things like that. So it's really easy to do, but we really need a host. We're trying to get a new host for Saturday night. I'm working with a person that's trying to learn. We're looking for other Saturday hosts. Thursday night, I'd like to have a Thursday DJ instead of the Sicily Theater. That way we had live people every night of the week. That would be a cool thing. Lots of afternoon times, later in the evening times. West Coast people, a lot of our DJs are Central and East Coast, so they end early for the West Coasters. You know, if you're on the West Coast, my show ended at midnight last night. I stayed on a little late, but people on the West Coast, it was only 10 o'clock, so.
All right. So any of you, I like that, that you're playing music. I've always been a music radio person, and in fact, I never listened to talk radio before I started doing it. So that might be why my show is different, because I don't, you know, I never listen to talk radio, so I don't have this preconceived notion of how I'm supposed to do this thing. So I like that. I like the mix of music, community, camaraderie, friendship, meeting people. It's just a good mix of and a good flavor that you have going on.
I've always been the music side of the DJ portion. You know, my talking skills are, I would make a horrible talk show host. What you do right now, I find amazing, and, you know, I think you're great at this. I couldn't sit here and come up with questions for 2 hours. I struggled to talk to Darren for 30 minutes. It made me nervous as heck. And I got through it, but I was like drenched in sweat when I was done.
Wow.
And
I'd love to talk to him. So if he ever gets to the point where he wants to do another promotional type of thing, I would love to help out with that and make that happen.
He's not an easy person to get a hold of. I had to go through kind of a publicist sort of person, and he lives in southern Missouri, way out the sticks like you do, and to even send a text message, he has to climb a hill or stand out in a pasture. So
yeah,
it was difficult, but I got him, and I'm as far as I know, I'm the only person to interview him about this project. I've not seen any other interviews that he's done in the last year or two, besides the stuff he did for his book. About a year or two before this, he did a book called Northern Exposed, and a little documentary about him going back to Sicily and showing some of the spots and the things of the filming, and basically a book kind of about his life story and the filming of it. And nobody's ever read it. It's very, very interesting. You can still find it. If you search Darren Burroughs Northern Exposed, you'll find his book. It's still for sale, and the DVD.
Oh, I'm definitely going to check that out. Very interested. That character, just there's no other character like that character ever on television.
Marilyn was so completely unique. You know, the kind of person that can say 1,000 words without saying a word. She was like that. And Chris, who was an ex-felon who is now an artist and a free spirit, and you got Maurice, who was a millionaire ex-astronaut, and then you got Shelley and Holling, Shelley is a 19-year-old beauty queen married to a 65-year-old fur trapper. and to top it off, you've got Maggie O'Connell, who is a debutante from Detroit, Michigan, who moved to Alaska to fly a bush plane. And then you got Dr. Joel Fleischman, who is basically sent there like prison. He's stuck there. He didn't want to be there, but due to an obligation, he had to.
And the whole show really is about his journey and becoming part of a community that he reluctantly joined. But he discovers that this need that he had, that he didn't know he had until he got it.
Well, it was really nice because as season 5 started winding down, he started to actually accept Sicily. And then as they started to get into season 6, you know, even more and more, him and Maggie almost got married, and then all of a sudden, you know, they decided to, you know, there was a contract issue, and he was going to leave the show mid-season, so they had to start rewriting and scrambling. All of a sudden, he's sent up river, and he discovers, you know, how to live natively like they do. It's a complete 180 from his character out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden he's gone. Boom. And we get a new doctor. And there were a lot of people that flipped out about that because the whole show was was about Fleischman. I mean, it was about the town, it was about everybody else, but when you first start the first pilot, you're on a trip with Joel to Sicily. You see it as he does. You're in that bus with the guy sleeping on your shoulder and drinking, having drinks with the guy in the airplane talking about the real Alaska and things like that.
Yeah.
You take that journey with him into Sicily and you meet all the people just like he does. Boom, you're on a bus. Boom, you're in Sicily. Boom, you're completely out of your element, and that's what people loved. It was a fish out of water story, but the place where the fish went to was so magical that anybody else in their right mind would love it. It would have to be a cynical Jew from New York to not like that.
Right. And so his transformation, his slow, gradual transformation is something that we can all relate to, because that's what happens to all of us. We think that we're not going to like something, or we think we don't have this need, and then that need that we didn't know we had gets met, and we're like, hey, wow, I really need these people. I've never had this before. Community,
Well, a lot of people see that and they see a part of themselves in it, because they think, I remember when I had to get a new job, or I got transferred, or moved to a new town, or went to college, or this or that. People have those kind of transforming journeys, and then seeing it in somebody else's views makes them think of their own. That's why everybody kind of calls Sicily our town, because people feel like even though they've never been there, they feel like they've lived there their whole lives.
Yep. So when you get your new host that you'll be getting soon, I'm sure, because once people check out your site, they're going to want to be a part of it. And you're right, it really is hard. There's so much internet radio going on and so many people doing shows that it is hard, for people even to find what they like, because it's like wading through an ocean of,
yeah.
It's like wading through the ocean, really.
Your station is so specific that nothing else like it, and people are looking for that exact topic. It's lost in a minefield of other stations that you don't know what you're getting. You go on to TuneIn app and you search for classic rock, you're going to get 10,000 stations. You search for a bluegrass station, you're going to get a couple hundred stations, even something as specific as that. So narrowing down the niche is really kind of what gave us our I don't want to say advantage, because we're not big. We're small compared to, most chat rooms and radio stations. They have thousands and thousands of listeners, and we're nowhere near that big. We're small, but being a small community like that, it makes it a little more special, because like I said, everybody does know your name, and you come to the chat room, and we're all on Facebook, and we've got a big, huge Club and X page. We've got a very small private group that's just for the people that come to the chat room, for them to share things, and it really becomes a community. And if something special happens in my life, not in the radio or anything, but just something cool happens, these are the first people that I go tell. Be like, guys, guess what happened to me today?
So where do you think that KBHR is going from here? I mean, do you think that as more and more people hear about it and come and join, that you'll be able to keep that small town feeling?
I don't see it blowing up and getting huge. It's not going to go viral or anything like that, because it is so specific. Without giving specific numbers, we probably have about, I would say on any given day, about 200 people individually, not 200 clicks, but 200 individual people tune in on a given day. I'm going to say about 200, maybe 150 this day, maybe 300 that day, but on average about 200 people a day. That's to some radio stations, that's huge. To some radio stations, that's minuscule. Yeah. But it doesn't matter to us, because, it's not about the numbers, because we're not trying to make money at it. It's about, I hate to use a cliche, but it's quality, not quantity. If that makes sense.
You're not worried about it getting too big and losing that feel. In other words,
I don't see it getting that big, because the community's not that big. The biggest group of NX people is Club NX, which is just hit 2,300 people. And that's the entire Facebook group of Club NX is 2,300. That's quite a bit of people, but then again, that's still sort of small.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the amount of people that are KBHR fans. Now, if Northern Exposure comes back out, that could change the ball game, because then it's going to be on TV again, and they're going to be, the spotlight will be on it.
Right.
Then something might change. That kind of worries me a little bit, because it could really blow up, but I'm not that worried now.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see, are there things that you want to do that you haven't done yet with the station? Goals that you have in mind for where you want to take the station?
Well, the only thing that I haven't done yet that I really want to do is broadcast live from Roslyn, Washington, which we're going to do in 2 months. So that one is in the books. I've already paid for my tickets, paid for the cabin, paid for my rental car. We're going. We got this sweet KBHR cabin. It's about 5 or 6 blocks or so from the brick. It's got a jacuzzi on the back porch, a barbecue grill. We're going to party in Sicily.
Wow. That sounds awesome.
And then that's where we're going to do the live show from. It'll be a live show Friday night and a live show Sunday night, maybe some other ones too. At least those are the 2 I planned, with a table in a room with all the KBHR DJs all sitting at the same table together.
And the listeners will be able to tune in like as usual and turn on their webcams and things like that.
Yep, just as it is, but when you see us doing the show, we'll actually be in Roslyn. And one of the other things I'm doing is I'm taking a couple video cameras, filming, I'm gonna film my own little mini documentary about my trip to Sicily.
Excellent. Well, maybe we'll clean up and put some clothes on and turn on our webcam.
Or just, neck up. That's fine, just neck up, as long as you get, like a driver's license photo.
I have trouble with that even.
Be careful if you stand up in the door,
Yep. Especially with how hot it's been lately. It's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous here. Thankfully that rain cooled things down. We really needed that. And hopefully that didn't interfere too much with the sound quality of the show, since I'm in my mobile command unit, aka our Yukon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So my Yukon that I inherited from my grandfather, and it's serving us very well.
See, that to me, that picture right there is Northern Exposure, because I remember seeing Chris broadcasting out at the old tree with the headset in the back of his truck.
Yeah, you were talking about all you need is a laptop and a headset, and I'm sitting in my truck with a laptop and a headset. That's all I have. That's how we're doing this thing. So yeah, totally on the fly. It is Northern Exposure, and our life. That's why we love it so much, is because we're in this remote area, 15 miles from the nearest grocery store. We got to plan our trips to town. We got to get provisioned. When we get money in, we get our provisions and
Stock up for the winter.
Yeah. Because when it comes 2 feet of snow, well, we're not getting out for a while. And we lose power a lot in storms, and so we're saving up to get a generator because we lose power so frequently.
Well, I have 3 Walgreens, 5 or 6 gas stations, 2 grocery stores, and a Walmart, all within a 2-mile radius of me.
Wow.
In this. Anything you want in Peoria, I got Dunkin' Donuts, right? I can walk to Dunkin' Donuts. I can walk to Walgreens. We got a gas station that is literally 200 yards from my apartment. That's just right across from the office building right there. So even in the middle of winter, I can always get out and get a pack of smokes or a gallon of milk or something like that. Unless I can physically not walk through the snow, we're cool.
I've lived in cities all over the world. Ed and I met in Oakland, California. I've lived in Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, London, San Diego, and Princeton, New Jersey.
I want to play that Johnny Cash song. I've been everywhere, man.
I have, except for Roslyn. So that's going to be where I'm going to go next. So next trip, we'll be there.
You should. Your best bet would be to shoot for the Moose Fest of 2018.
Okay, we're shooting for it.
they do an official one every 3 years, and the off years is kind of an unofficial one. They're getting ready to have an unofficial one here in a couple weeks. It's the last weekend in July, I believe, is when they do it. And every 3 years they have a big one. They have an event, they have a dinner, they have guests. This last year, Barry Corbin and Darren Burroughs was there, and it was really cool stuff.
So does the gang, you said the gang from KBHR really goes at the off time though, when not everybody's there?
Well, we kind of just chose this specific event as a one-time thing. This isn't really a reoccurring thing. A couple of us really wanted to go, but none of us have ever, I'm talking about me and NXP, have never been there before. And kind of afraid that going for the first time during Moose Fest when everybody's there would be kind of weird, because it might be sort of emotional. I mean, I'm going to be so excited when I drive into that town and see the big, mural on the wall and see the brick. I'm going to be going crazy. I'm like, oh my God, I'm here, and I could imagine having to do that with, 1,000 other people. So our idea was that, do it at maybe the end of the summer where it's still nice, but it's not going to be so crowded. So we just picked an off weekend. We picked like several dates, and there was a group of about 15 of us that really wanted to go, and we're like, okay, everybody tell us which weekend you can go and you can't go. And this weekend ended up being the one where everybody could. Everybody was able to make that one, so that's the one we picked.
Sounds good. Ed would like to, aka Majikia, my husband, would like to bring our drum when we go out there and sing some songs.
That'd be cool.
Really great.
I would love to take my acoustic guitars and have a jam, but because I'm flying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to dare put my guitars in the belly of an airplane. And I've already got an entire radio station with me. I've got my mobile unit in the backpack that's got to go on the airplane. By the way, the TSA is going to love that.
Yeah.
What is this big giant bag of wires you got here? It's a radio station, sir. There's the microphones. I hope they don't give me shit.
I hope they don't either. I wish that I could be there with you with my FEMA badge, just to flash them.
This guy's going through official KBHR business.
Exactly. Yeah, because I haven't flown that much, post 9/11, but the couple times that I did, I flashed them my FEMA badge, and they were like, "Oh, is FEMA hiring?" So like. TSA is below FEMA.
As they're touching you, they slip their resume in your back pocket.
Yeah. So they're not trying to piss me off.
I have flown quite a bit. After I got laid off, I spent a few months working for the Save-A-Lot Corporation that owned grocery stores, and I had to fly around and install credit card machines and servers and stuff. And so I did quite a bit of flying. And if you haven't, it's weird. Now, my wife has never been on a jet. She has only flown one time in like a little Maggie O'Connell 2-seater at a airport pancake fly-in. Other than that, she's never flown. So,
wow,
it's going to be a very interesting trip for us.
I flew a lot as a child, and then post 9/11 just was kind of afraid actually to fly, and actually couldn't afford it either. But when I was a kid, I used to fly back and forth between my parents' house. So I did quite a bit of flying, and I can actually remember when people would smoke on airplanes, and it was a nightmare.
The TWA days and
yes.
Continent. Yep, I remember that. I'm kind of like a realist, and the statistics of you having something happen in an airplane are like about the chances of you winning the lottery. I am more scared of riding in a car on the interstate than flying in an airplane. I feel perfectly safe and at ease and at home in an airplane.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too, but I noticed that now, the more recent flights are way bumpier than I remember years ago. It seems like
the planes are smaller. You're flying in a smaller plane. You're going to feel more bumpies.
Okay.
You fly. What happens is you get your regional carriers, and then you get your big trips. If you're going way across the country, you get in a bigger plane. You're in a 737 or something like that. Those tend to be a lot smoother than you'll get in like a little RJ-45 or a Canada airplane, one of those, where it's more like a flying Greyhound bus. The seats are kind of small, and you're crawling in there. those things usually tend to be bumpier because they're lighter and they hit those air pockets.
Yeah, so that kind of freaked me out. But I guess statistically, you're absolutely right. It makes more sense to be afraid when you're getting in a car.
Oh yeah, you're
plane.
way more likely to die in a car accident than a plane accident. It's like 100 to 1 for a car accident, and it's like 1,000,000 to 1 for a plane.
Yeah, and I have no reason to fear the TSA because I just flashed my FEMA badge, so there's nothing to be afraid of.
Unless you got a kilo of something up your keister, you really don't have anything to fear.
Well, if I'm flying to Washington State, I really wouldn't need to.
No, and that's something that I'm very, very much looking forward to going to Washington, is that Washington is a legal marijuana state, and I am a very big proponent of legalizing marijuana.
Yeah, I am too, and I have been for actually a very, very long time. I used to live out in California where they had at least medical marijuana 20 years ago. So, I watched people walk into hospice care who were dying, wasting away from AIDS, be treated with medical marijuana, and walk out of hospice. And hospice is the place where you're supposed to go die. So, that convinced me, that if it has medical value, there's really no reason for it to be illegal. There's no leg that criminal justice has to stand on with it being illegal. None. There's nothing to back them.
To me about it, it's common sense. And anybody that knows anything knows that marijuana is probably one of the more safer things if you choose to do. I don't know a lot of people that died from marijuana. To say that it's worse than something like alcohol, I'm not against alcohol by any means, but how can you be a drunk and work at the post office or a school, but you can't smoke a joint in the evenings,
Yeah.
Just because you smoke marijuana doesn't mean you smoke it all the time or you do it while you work. People that are drunks don't come to work drunk. Some do, but most don't,
Mm-hmm.
So it's silly nonsense to me. But
yeah.
I think times are changing.
Yeah, and it's about damn time. It really is. This is something I've been looking at my whole life. Starting in college, we had this assignment where we were supposed to figure out climate change. What could we do to solve the climate change problem? Well, we could start using industrial hemp for all of its uses. Food,
Yep.
clothing, medicine, fiber.
An easy renewable you can make almost everything from.
Yeah, building materials.
Sure.
And that's really why it was made illegal, because people like DuPont and Asslinger, that guy should be he's like worse than Hitler. No, I mean, Asslinger, well, I can't compare, but Asslinger is responsible for it getting made illegal worldwide.
I blame Nick.
Who?
I blame Nixon.
Yeah. Yeah, Nixon played a big role in that. And, there was a lot of players, and it's definitely conspiracy, but it's not a conspiracy theory. It's conspiracy fact.
Sure.
These facts, you can go to the congressional testimony when they made it illegal in the 1920s and see congressmen saying that we need to make this stuff illegal because there's black musicians in Harlem that are using it to rape white women, and dirty Mexicans are coming up here with it. So who does that sound like? We still have, this thread of Trumpism going through our country, and I think a lot of it is just jacked up by the media, because nobody in their right mind really likes that guy, and I don't know anybody that likes him.
We're all becoming wiser now because we can all make our own choices about where we read our news and what news we read, and people. What freaks me out is like all this gun violence and stuff that's happening. People are like, "Oh my God, it's getting so bad," and if you look at it statistically, no, it's actually getting better. Just everybody sees it and everybody has a frickin' video camera in their pocket now.
Right.
So anytime anything happens anywhere, boom, you see it. 3 people get shot somewhere and somebody videotapes it. It used to be just on the local news. Now it's everywhere. It's worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually not happening as much. Crime here in Peoria, we got a big gang problem here in Peoria. There's, our Peoria is 25% black. And, that's larger than most communities. Not as large as some, but it's pretty big. And we've got a large gang problem here. But the amount of murders in the last 10 years, every year has dropped by at least 10 to 20% and keeps going down. So you can't really argue those numbers that things are getting better, but at the same time, every single time there is a murder, somebody videotapes it, news is there, every one of them get publicized. So people, they think they're seeing it more when they're actually seeing it less.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more on that. And then take it back to the marijuana issue is that in the states that have legalized it, crime is going down. So you don't have the black market. It's the black market of anything that creates the danger. So nobody in the world has ever died of marijuana because there's no lethal dose to it. You know, so we don't, it's not a scourge, you know, that's taking out lives, there's that meme out there. What's your mother going to do when she finds you dead of taking too many marijuanas, So
one of the things I play on my Wolf TV show is I've got a video that's like it's a 1970s anti-marijuana video, and when you see it, it is so funny because it's bullcrap. They're like, I can't explain it. You have to see it, and I'll try to play it for you the next time you're there. But just the misinformation that they gave about what the problems caused by, people going insane and going out and killing people and this and that. And it's just like not true at all. Anybody that's ever smoked a joint, the worst thing that happened to them was they got really thirsty or really hungry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the worst thing that happened to them.
So that's the other side of the internet access, and everybody has a video camera, and everybody is that we can all share this information too, and we can all fact check things. So when we see these ridiculous narratives that are out there in the media, we can go, you know what? I've been reading these studies, and that's bullshit. And then we can say, oh, look at these states where they've legalized it, even just for medical use, opiate use, and opiate deaths go down by like 40%.
Sure.
Because people are using it for pain.
And having states like Oregon and Washington and Colorado being the pioneers of having it legal, that's all people are really waiting for is let's see what happens. Most people are saying, oh my God, when shit's going to hit the fan, it's going to be horrible. Your crime's going up and this and that. And quite frankly, every state that's done it, all the opposite has happened. Crime's gone down, revenues have gone up,
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. And, young people using marijuana has gone down because now you got to go to a store and have an ID. It's like alcohol. Mm-hmm. If you use it responsibly, it's perfectly safe. But, it has such a stigmata about it that it's, people.
Stigmata.
Yeah,
it makes you bleed from the hands and feet.
That's what they thought in the 70s,
They did.
Smoke that reefer and your hands will bleed.
It'll be a stigmata of reefer madness.
That's funny.
It's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
One of my favorite people is Rick Steves. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he's a strong proponent for marijuana in Oregon and helped got it on the ballot and legalized. This is a guy that hosts a travel show on PBS. Very respected man. If this kind of guy, is for it, what the heck's wrong with it?
And Dr. Sanjay Gupta on, what is he on? CNN, I think?
Mm-hmm.
He's a proponent. You have Montel Williams, who's a proponent. What other famous people stuck their neck out and told the truth? Lots of people.
Billy Nelson, of course,
Yeah. Well, he's just a cool guy. I think he should be our next president. What do you think? I mean, he seems like a logical.
As much as I love Willie, he's getting pretty up there in age, and
that's true. That's true.
I would hate to, being president ages somebody like dog years.
That's true.
When he come into office, he looked like he was about 45 years old. He's been there 7 years, almost 8. Now he looks about 7.
Yeah.
And any person that goes to that office and has that job, it ages you like crazy.
So maybe we should get Trump in there. Age his ass.
He'll look like the old guy from Up with the balloons.
When he gets out of there, right?
He all bent over in a cane. And
yeah.
I don't like to get too political and talk about. I was a big Bernie supporter. I thought Bernie would have been a great choice. Right now, I think I'm leaning towards Gary Johnson.
Diane Stein, I think I'll
the other two, Hillary and Trump, just seem like they seem
same.
Not even the same. They just like the two worst possible choices that we as a human race could make. We made it. I mean, it's almost as bad as picking Arnold Schwarzenegger or Jesse Ventura.
But did we really make it? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, it's the illusion of choice. Okay, would you like to stab yourself in the right eye or the left eye? There's your choice.
Yeah, who's to say
You're empowered with choice now.
If we had never talked about Democratic superdelegates, Bernie might have been the candidate.
Right. And he was going to free the weed, too, so...
Yeah, well, that's why I like Bernie.
Yeah. Burn one with Bernie when he frees the weed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That just makes sense.
Well, I believe in a few things like socialized medicine and stuff like that. There's Canada kicks our ass in medicine. A lot of other countries do. Now, we got great hospitals and great doctors and stuff like that, but almost every other civilized country, nobody has to pay for healthcare. It's a right, not a privilege.
Right. And so we're paying the most and we're getting the least for what we pay for.
Do some weird things as a country. We jail more people than any other country, and I couldn't believe that. Legalize marijuana, take out the DEA, don't let them focus on things that are really important, get all the marijuana people out of jail, and I wonder how much money we would save.
It would be incredible, because it costs a lot of money to jail people. People
Sure.
think that, kill them, we don't want to pay to keep a person alive. It's like, well, actually, it's cheaper to keep them alive than killing them.
We've guys in prison that are there for 80 years for growing marijuana plants, for farming.
Yeah, that's a sin. I mean, if you're going to believe in sin, that would be my idea of what would be sinful. To steal somebody's life from them. Because that person's not a criminal. Somebody who grows a plant is not a criminal. We're criminalizing behavior that's not criminal. So the other big thing is poverty. So our economy, the bankers did their little parlor trick, and now they're all rich, and we're, not. And poverty is an issue in this country. Jobs are an issue. It's really hard in some places for people to find work. So now they're criminalizing poverty when people are losing their homes at record rates.
Well, it's like that. It's like the big bubble in 2008 when all the banks were betting on each other and hedging on this and that, and propping up a market that was non-existent. And then when it fell out, all these people lost their retirements, lost their homes, lost their businesses, lost everything because of, a bunch of suits in a big tall building wanted to make more money. Mm-hmm. And nobody was watching. Nobody cared. And it's still this way to the day.
Nothing changed.
Doesn't matter what president we have, doesn't matter who you elect, it's capitalism. I'm a small business owner, and obviously I enjoy part of capitalism, but it's just the American dream's cool, but when does it become too much? How much money do you really need?
Right. I mean, it's crony capitalism and it's corporatism.
Mm-hmm.
So corporatism meaning, the profit of the corporations is more important than life, really, than life itself. So that's an immoral system. It's definitely not civilized by any stretch of the imagination, especially in a country where, if you're sick or injured, you can't get medical care unless you, have insurance. And the flip side of that is that if you do have insurance, conditions which really can easily be solved aren't, because you make more money not having your condition solved and healed. So it's our medical system is not a system that incentivizes actual healing. what's incentivized is keeping you coming back. So we have the big
seeing
pharma.
how many pills they shoot down your throat. Hello?
Sorry,
Uh-oh.
I'm coughing.
Oh, that's okay. No problem. Get this lady some water quick.
I think I am having like a histamine response to something.
You swallow a bug.
Yep. Sorry, folks. Woo! So we have 10 minutes left in the show. Was there anything that you wanted to tell our guests?
Not really. Thank you so much, everybody, for letting me be on the program and talk and ramble. I don't usually talk this much, so I appreciate it. It's been fun.
I do talk this much, but I'm having trouble right now. I need to bring my, I don't know, maybe a fan or something in here. It gets a little hot towards the end of the show, sitting in my truck.
I'll have to do it like from the tailgate or something.
But then I get all the cars driving by and...
You need a noise canceling headset.
Okay.
I'll take care of that quick. Get you a USB noise canceling, or not USB, however you like it plugged in. You can get a regular one. But a nice, good noise canceling headset will help eliminate some of that stuff.
I got the cheap one.
Yeah, cheap ones pick up everything.
Well, maybe not the cheapest one, but I did get the economical version given my budget and things.
Yeah, right now I'm talking through a $100 microphone and I probably don't sound that much better, so.
No, you sound fantastic. I can tell that you're...
Usually Skype will, interfere with the quality somewhat. But it does sound pretty good, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like you're using a really good microphone. So, yeah, it's I used to have a really pretty good mic, but the actual cord of the mic broke, and it's actually just as expensive to get the cord as it is to get a brand new mic. So now I'm using this cheap headset for now until I can save up for a good mic or a noise canceling headset, as you've suggested.
Those work pretty good. I've seen people that broadcast outside, and the microphone only picks up so much from right around, and it doesn't pick up other things. They're interesting.
So the next show on KBHR is going to be tomorrow is the day that you do all the shows.
Yep. Tomorrow morning's Wake Up with Cicely. I don't really talk during the show. It's just 2 hours of Northern Exposure music to get started before the episodes. That starts at 9 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow morning. Then Northern Exposure episodes run at 11 a.m. and run throughout the afternoon. And then my show, Sunday night Club and X Community Radio Show, is 8 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night.
And I hope we get some people from Revolution Radio over there. And anybody that missed any part of this show tonight can come join us at People's Internet Radio in Ireland on Tuesday night from 6 to 8. That's Eastern Time. We'll all be in the chat. I can't get in the chat because of, the bandwidth issues, being on a laptop in my truck. But on Tuesday night, I will be in the chat over there on People's Internet Radio, and it looks like I'll be in the chat at KBHR as well, because we like to go back and forth. And
Tuesday night we got Whip Fox, so that's always fun.
Right after the replay of this, go on over to KBHR on Tuesday night and check out Whip Fox's show. That was a lot of fun last week.
And that theme he did last week, he did a theme of rock and roll music, songs with either the word rock or roll in it. And he's got a whole bunch more, so we're going to continue that party.
Has he picked out his theme for this week?
Yeah, he's continuing the rock and roll. He's going to keep doing it. Same thing as last week.
Oh, okay.
A whole bunch of songs over, so enough for a whole nother show.
And definitely a Monday, start out your week right with Jeff in the morning on Monday morning.
And Roots with Ree at 9 p.m. Monday night. 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Easy to remember.
Very
Eastern.
easy to remember. And Ree's got a good show, too. It's very unique, just like all of the other DJs on your...
Roots music, world music, Sicily music, just fun stuff. Great. She's an excellent DJ.
She really is. You know, I before we go, I would like to ask you why you think there's fewer women in radio.
Very good question. I don't think I have an answer to it. I've never really noticed. I never thought about it before, but you know, as you say it, yeah, that is kind of true. I guess it would be like saying the same thing as, you know, why isn't there as many, you know, female doctors or female lumberjacks? You know, it's just, probably a lot of it was voice at the time. You know, in the 50s and the 60s, you had the announcer. It was always a man, that man announcer, announcing voice, the voice of thunder thing. And nowadays it really doesn't matter as much. You know, people don't quite care. You can have female announcer, female voice. Same with newscasters. Back in the day, you would never see a female newscaster, but now they're everywhere.
Right.
I think it's kind of like that.
Because after talking to both you and Jeff, you always wanted to do radio. It was, you know, this was the thing. You always wanted to be a DJ. You always wanted to do radio. Mm-hmm. And for me, I never considered it a possibility. I was born in 1969, so, you know, you really didn't have that many females doing radio in the 70s, so it just didn't seem like an option for me. You know, so I wonder, and now that I'm doing it, I love it. I can't get enough. It's like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Well, a really nice thing about the internet is that you can listen to radio stations from anywhere. Sometimes from time to time when I'm in the shop, you know, I like to delve around the dial and find things. You go on TuneIn and you can find radio stations from other countries. I love listening to radio in Australia. Just for the accents alone, it's great, you know. Come on down to, you know, I can't do a very good Australian, but to hear a rock station in Africa or a Cuban, you know, station or something like that, it's really fun. And one of my favorite stations is a station out of St. Louis called KBHR 95. Back in the 70s, they had this old lady that used to be a DJ. Her name was Ruth, and I can't remember her last name, but she was literally a 70-year-old classic rock and roll DJ. She was famous in St. Louis, and they still keep that tradition to this day. One of my favorite DJs is a DJ named Learn. She is a female morning DJ on KBHR 95. If you ever listen to them out of St. Louis, they were doing classic rock since the mid-'60s.
Yeah, there were no females on WKRP.
But that's not a real station.
That's true.
That is a cartoonization of a radio station.
Right. You know, I heard this funny reference to WKRP, and it was like right before you guys started talking about WKRP in the chat room. And it's Gavin McGinnis. I think he started Vice, and somebody was asking him, I think it was Joe Rogan was asking him why he left. And he said, well, basically, Herb Tarlick started running the station, so I had to leave. Thank you so much, DJ Wolf.
Thank you, Brett.